Good morning students. Today we are going to complete our chapter R environment, and the first topic for today is global warming. We know what global warming is. Global warming simply means that because of human activities, the average temperature of earth atmosphere is continuously increasing. Means our earth is getting more and more warm, and because of these there are lots of climatic changes that are occurring. So the most important reason is for all the climatic changes is global warming. So how we can define this global warming? That simply means increase in average atmospheric temperature of earth because of increase in concentration of greenhouse gases. That increase in temperature is global warming. Now what do we understand by these greenhouse gases? Greenhouse, see, we can compare our earth with a greenhouse. Greenhouse simply means a house that is made up of glass. A glass house is there, the walls are made up of glass, and this glass is able to absorb most of the solar radiations that are falling on it, and because of the absorption of solar radiations the temperature is going to increase. Just like that, our earth is also going to be surrounded by atmosphere. Say our earth is there, and outside it atmosphere is going to be present. This atmosphere is acting as a glass, just as it is present in greenhouse, and here mixture of gases are there, dust particles are there, water vapor, aerosols. So these are all present in the atmosphere that we are having around our earth. So what this atmosphere is going to do, just like this glass, this atmosphere is also allowing solar radiations to enter, and it is trapping some of the heat radiations. The heat radiations are infrared radiations. These are infrared radiations. These infrared radiations are being absorbed by the atmosphere, and because of which our earth is going to be warm. So these infrared radiations are responsible for the warming of our earth, and that is important for the survival of all the living organisms that are present on the earth. And the average temperature on earth is 15 degree Celsius. So simply warming is important, and the gases which are responsible, most gases which are mostly responsible for trapping these infrared radiations are carbon dioxide, methane is there, chlorofluorocarbon is there, nitrous oxide is there. So these are responsible for warming of our earth surface, and that's why these are known as greenhouse gases. Now this temperature is the normal average temperature which is required. Now what global warming is? It simply means that is increase in this particular temperature because of increasing concentration of these greenhouse gases, and most important gas that is affecting the temperature the most is carbon dioxide. So the most important gas for global warming is carbon dioxide, and we know this carbon dioxide is being produced by the burning of fossil fuels, coal, petroleum, diesel is there. Various industries are also releasing this carbon dioxide. So continuously in our environment concentration of carbon dioxide is increasing, and because of this increased concentration of carbon dioxide the temperature is continuously rising. And in 20th century there is almost 0.6 degree rise in temperature of earth atmosphere, and because of this there are lots of effects What are the effects of these global warming? There are lots of climatic change. That is because of global warming. Second thing, this global warming that is leading to the melting of the glaciers, and because of melting of the glacier, the water is going to come in the sea, so sea level is going to rise. What is the problem with the rise in a sea level? The areas which are coastal areas present near about the seas, low level areas, chances are that these areas are going to submerge under water. So these are some of the problems of global warming, and what actually global warming is. Now another thing is, again the global warming is the result of human action. Another result of human action is production of solid waste and its disposal. The main problem other than global warming is production of solid waste and its disposal. Waste means the garbage that is of no use and we generally throw it. Solid means the state of matter is going to be solid. So this solid waste, as the population is continuously increasing, so the waste is also going to be produced at a very vast level. The household waste is being produced, from hospitals solid waste is being produced, our farm are also leading to very, yes, farm waste. Then there are some of the rubbish or some of the, you can say, waste that is coming from cow dung, human excreta is there. So this is all solid waste that we are continuously producing. Now the problem is that the solid waste which we are using, that is of two types. Either we are going to produce a biodegradable waste, or we are producing non-biodegradable waste. Biodegradable waste simply means this is the solid waste that is being decomposed by the organisms. Like we know, the common decomposers that are occurring in our environment are bacteria, fungus is there. So these are going to decompose, means they are going to secrete enzymes, they are going to dissolve them and they are going to convert them into simple soluble substances. But what is the problem with non-biodegradable waste? These non-biodegradable waste, they are not being decomposed. They are going to be as it is for thousands of years. So the organisms are not able to decompose them. So they are a big problem to our environment. Although biodegradable waste is also having problems or effects on our environment, but majority of the problems are because of non-biodegradable waste. Now let's see what are the adverse effects of these biodegradable waste on our environment. The first one is foul smell. We know whenever we are going to throw vegetable peels or fruit peels or leftover food, or a animal is going to die, so our dead body is there, foul smell is going to come, it is going to spread in the nearby area. So that is a big problem. Second is that these biodegradable waste, wherever there are dumps of solid waste, flies, mosquitoes, they are going to sit over there and they are finally coming to our homes, they are contaminating our food, water, and because of this there are various foodborne or waterborne diseases that are going to occur. Say typhoid is there, cholera is there, diarrhea is there. So this biodegradable waste is responsible for such type of diseases. This biodegradable waste, this is also responsible for blocking of drains, and because of blockage of drain, water is going to be, you can say, accumulated in one single place, and this is acting as a breeding site for mosquitoes. So again there are more chances of malaria, dengue will be there. So that is a big problem. This solid waste, wherever this solid waste is going to be present for long period of time, fertility of that soil, that area is going to be lost. So these are some of the problems that are associated with biodegradable waste. If we talk about non-biodegradable waste, the major problem with non-biodegradable waste is that it is responsible for biomagnification, or we can use another term, biological magnification. Now what this biological magnification means? It simply means, we have already talked about food chain. So in food chain we saw that we are going to move from trophic level 1 to 2, 3, 4, 5 like this way. So at 1 producer is lying, herbivore, then carnivore and further. So whenever we are moving in a food chain from lower to upper trophic levels, the amount of pesticide or non-biodegradable chemical is continuously increasing in the food chain, and that is known as biomagnification. That simply means amount of pesticide or toxic chemicals increases in food chain, moving towards upper trophic levels. That simply means our producers are going to have less amount of pesticide. As we are moving to herbivore, the amount of pesticide is going to increase, and further it is going to increase, and the top consumers are going to have the maximum amount of pesticide. Now this biomagnification is severely affecting the top consumers. The reason behind this is that in a food chain we are seeing that these top consumers are already less in number, plus they are having maximum amount of non-biodegradable substances in them, pesticide in them. So chances of their extinction are more in a ecosystem. So this is the, you can say, severity of non-biodegradable waste. Another thing is also they are affecting the soil fertility, because in our fields we are using fertilizers, pesticides again, which are non-biodegradable chemicals. So for a short period of time they are going to increase our production, but if we are continuously using them for long period of time, they are simply reducing the fertility of our soil, and finally our soil is going to be barren. That means we are not able to produce anything from that soil. So these are the effects, adverse effects of non-biodegradable waste. Another effect can be, say plastic is there. So this plastic, when soil on our earth surface plastic is present, it is not going to degrade for longer period of time. So it is going to make a covering, a sheet on the earth surface, and because of which rainwater is not going to percolate under the ground, and the groundwater will not be recharged. So there will be deficiency of water, deficiency of groundwater because of the accumulation of non-biodegradable waste. Now the important thing is management of this solid waste. We need to identify some of the ideas, some of the methods through which we can minimize or we can dispose this solid waste properly, so that environmental effects, the side effects on environment can reduce. So we are going to talk about some of the methods of disposal of solid waste which are helpful to reduce this solid waste. So the first method is landfilling. What landfilling means? Landfilling simply means that whenever an uneven surface is there, so we are going to fill that surface with soil. Generally we use soil for filling of the surface and to make it even. So in place of soil we can use solid waste for making a surface even, making a land even. So waste is used for making a land even. So solid waste is going to be disposed properly, our land will be even, and the area where this solid waste was present, that area is also going to be cleaned up. The second one is recycling. Recycling means the old material is used, old plastic, old metal, old glass is used, it will be remolded and new items are going to be formed from the older one. So we need to supply such type of material in different industries, factories which are doing this. Say paper industry is there, that is responsible for the recycling of paper. Various glass industries or factories are there which are going to remold the plastic. So they are responsible for making this plastic or metal into a new shape and that will be used. Now benefit of this recycling is that there will be no production of more plastic, because the older plastic is going to be used and it will be not disposed in the environment. The older plastic will be used for the remolding and new substances or new products are going to be formed. So that's why recycling is important. Now the third one is compost, formation or production of compost. From vegetable peels or household waste we can generally make compost, and this compost can be used as manure for our farms or for our garden, park. So this is how the solid waste can be used in form of compost. Another one is there is production of biogas. We know production of biogas is basically using animal excreta, then agricultural waste, farm waste, some household waste also. So that can be used in the production of biogas, and this biogas production that is helping in replacing LPG and used as household purpose, plus the waste can also be managed, and the leftover part after the production of the biogas, the leftover part can also be used as a fertilizer or as a manure in our farms. So there are two benefits. And another one is incineration. Incineration simply means we are going to heat up the solid waste at very high temperature, at temperature more than 1000 degrees Celsius. So when we are heating a solid waste at more than 1000 degrees Celsius, then there will be production of gases. Gases will be liberated, and at last all the solid waste will be converted into ash. And now ash is going to be less in amount as compared to the solid waste, and this ash can be easily disposed of. So these are some of the methods with which solid waste can be easily disposed and managed. Now because of human activity, the other problem which we are facing is, the environment is facing, is depletion in ozone layer. We know that earth, there are lots of airs which are surrounding the earth. Atmosphere is there, troposphere is there, stratosphere is there. This ozone is going to be present in stratosphere. Ozone is actually what? It is O3, that is made from oxygen. As a gas, this ozone is going to be toxic. When it is present in troposphere or atmosphere, it is going to be toxic, and very least amount of ozone is present in atmosphere. But when this ozone is present in stratosphere in form of a layer, this is going to be very helpful because it is preventing the entry of UV radiations from sun into the earth atmosphere. So UV radiations are not going to enter into the earth atmosphere because in stratosphere this ozone layer is present, and this UV radiation is having various harmful effects that is mainly responsible for skin cancer. So whenever we are coming in contact with UV radiation, chances of skin cancer are there. There are various eye issues, eye related problems that are occurring because of UV radiation. Chances of occurring of cataract, eye problem is there, are more when individuals are coming in contact with UV radiations. Another one is that is this UV radiation is responsible for decreasing the immunity. So immune system will be affected by the UV radiation. So they are responsible for decrease in immunity, and they are responsible for mortality of the embryo when the embryo is present in mother uterus. So the number of embryos that are going to die in the mother uterus, that is increased because of UV radiations. So mortality rate, embryo has increased. So these are the severe effect of UV radiation, and ozone layer is preventing from these severe effects. Now the thickening of the ozone layer, that is measured in Dobson unit. DU, this is how the thickening of ozone is there. Now what depletion means? Depletion means when the thickening is going to reduce, ozone is going to break down and there is reduction in the thickening of ozone layer, that is known as depletion is in ozone layer. Now how this depletion in ozone layer is occurring? Basically what happens, two reactions are continuously occurring, that is formation of ozone and degradation of ozone, but there is a balance between these two reactions. Ozone is continuously degrading in the stratosphere and it is continuously forming in the stratosphere. When both the reactions are going to be occurring in a balanced way, then ozone layer is going to behave normally. When rate of degradation is going to be increased and rate of formation is going to be decreased, now that is responsible for depletion in ozone layer. For formation and depletion, the factor, the important thing that is responsible is UV radiation. UV radiation is favoring the formation of ozone layer and they are responsible for the degradation of ozone layer. How? Let's see what process actually happening in the formation and depletion of ozone layer. I told you ozone is going to be formed from oxygen. So a oxygen molecule is there that is going to combine with the oxygen atom. By this reaction is facilitated by UV radiation. So in presence of UV radiation, a oxygen molecule and a oxygen atom is going to combine and they are responsible for the formation of ozone. So this is a formation reaction in which UV radiations are helping in the formation of ozone. Now problem is what? Problem is that chlorofluorocarbons, the chlorofluorocarbons are mainly responsible for the depletion of ozone layer, and these chlorofluorocarbons, they are being liberated by refrigerators, AC are there, then fire extinguisher, different paints are there which are responsible for the release of these aerosols. These are small kind of particles which are going to move upward in the atmosphere because of their very small size. Now what happens, these chlorofluorocarbons, when they are moving to stratosphere, again in stratosphere they are coming in contact with UV radiation, and by coming in contact with UV radiation, these chlorofluorocarbons are going to break down and there will be liberation of chlorine, and chlorine is the main culprit that is responsible for ozone layer depletion. What this chlorine is going to do? This chlorine is going to bind with ozone. It is responsible formation of oxygen and there will be formation of chlorine monoxide. So there will be breakdown of ozone into oxygen and chlorine monoxide. Again the chlorine is going to affect another molecule of ozone, and this is how one single molecule of chlorine is responsible for breakdown of thousands of molecules of ozone. And this is how this chlorofluorocarbon is responsible for the breakdown of ozone. Now I told you both the reactions are occurring simultaneously, formation also in presence of UV radiation and breakdown also in presence of UV radiation. Now when ozone depletion is going to occur, simply when CFC amount is going to be high, that simply means rate of degradation of ozone is going to be high as compared to rate of formation, and because of this ozone is going to be depleted, and the you can say area from where the ozone is going to be removed, that is going to form a hole, that is known as ozone hole, and from where ultraviolet radiations they can enter into the earth's surface, and we have already seen the harmful effects of these ultraviolet radiations. The first ozone hole was observed in Antarctica. Why? Because the climatic conditions of Antarctica were favoring the degradation of ozone layer. There are some of the protocols which have been signed in different countries, between different countries, in which these countries they have made a proposal that they are going to reduce the production of CFC. Chlorofluorocarbon is going to be, production is going to be reduced, and they are going to be replaced by another substances which are not going to have harmful effect on the ozone layer, like Montreal Protocol is there. So this is about the depletion of ozone layer. That's all about the chapter R environment, and in our next class we are going to start with our last chapter of biology section.